good to have this conversation with you because, you know, I have kids, and I'm sure most of you do. If you don't, it's an opportunity for you to learn. And, you know, sometimes you have, let's say, 2 or 3 children, and you're just thinking that one is probably smarter than the other. One loves to learn, the other doesn't like to learn. And you're asking that, why is it that you like to learn? This one doesn't like to learn. And then you're wondering, is it from me, the woman, or is it from the man? You know, we ask so many questions, and sometimes we even get upset with the children. So first off, I'd like to know the different ways in which children learn. Before that, who is the clinical psychologist and who is the mental health advocate? Which one?
So I'm the clinical psychologist.
Okay, and
she is
the mental health advocate.
Okay, so who'll start first?
I think I'll go.
Okay, all right. So let's start with you.
Right, thank you so much, and it's a privilege to be here. And to answer your question, absolutely right. I think that for all parents, we're all trying to make sense or understand what's going on with our children. And whilst it might not come off as being intentional, we tend to make comparisons. From milestones, walking, crawling, their speech. Then we come to school and what they are doing. Even teachers are making comparisons. And so for parents as well, they will make them. Now, to answer your question in terms of how we learn, we're different. Let's establish that. All of us are different. And because of that, we might also learn differently. So we'll have those who will learn better when it comes to watching. So that is more of the visual learner. We'll have those who might learn better when it comes to the auditory, so they would hear. Then you'd have those who might probably want to experience, move, so the kinesthetic learners, they're also there. So we have different ways. And we'll say that to each his own. What works for this person might not work for this person. And so for every parent, including myself, because I'm also a parent, it's important for us to recognize that and then also allow, you know, children learn or let them explore and help them know what works for them.
Okay, now let me come to you. Sure. What is yours as well? I mean, what are some of the different ways, like, we can, you know, help these children learn? Like, how should we even go about it?
Okay, so I think first of all, it's important to identify.
Okay, identify. How do I identify? Because she has mentioned that they are in different parts, like those who are visual, those who actually just listen. And so how do we identify that, this is my kid, when I teach her just virtually, she will understand. If I speak, they will understand. Or maybe they just have to pick a book to read. What's it like?
Okay, so first of all, we need to understand that to establish some of these things, it's a collaborative effort. So as a parent, how many of us really have time to even sit our kids down when they come back from school? You know, we're doing homework. How many of us have time to even observe our kids well enough to say, okay, so my kid is good here, or maybe they do better here? It's difficult sometimes for parents because a lot of us have busy schedules. So it's best to collaborate with the school, find out from school, go to school. Okay, so you sit with the teacher, they make good observations because they spend a lot of time with your child. So find out from them what is happening in the school. And then, of course, there are professionals out there who can help. So I think this will lead us the conversation to what we call as assessments. Yes, so she's a professional. Let me throw it back to her. So
okay, all right.
So just to add on to what she said, so whilst we can have the observations, parents making time, and then also engaging with the teachers as well, some other way as well would be through assessments. And these are very detailed processes that help, you know, to identify the children in terms of their strengths and then the areas where maybe they need some additional support. So it's an entire process that is done. And that can be done by some trained individuals. So it doesn't mean that everybody can do it. So we have some trained professionals from the neuropediatrician to some clinical psychologists who can do that. So always as parents, ask questions. Don't just take your child anywhere and just take whatever, you know, that you are told. Always get a second opinion if you're also not sure. It's very important.
Yeah. In this, our Ghana, sometimes you have a child and you take the child to maybe a place like this and you want to let them know that, maybe because of this and that, I'm not sure, so can you help me? And then you're perceived or you're looked as like a mother who does not care. And so it makes it difficult for a lot of mothers to take their children to somebody like a teacher or maybe a psychologist or somebody to tell them that, listen, help me because I'm not sure of what my child is doing or what he or she is going through. What can we as mothers, like how do we manage it? Because you don't want somebody going out there to say something about you or even your child? How do we go about it?
Right. So a very good question there. And maybe to answer that question, I think I'll start off with the parent. So as parents, it's important for us that first and foremost, we stop with the comparisons and understand that we are all unique, we are different in terms of how we learn, how we behave, how we even think. We're all different. I'm sure that maybe some of the things you're doing, I can't do them. You were dancing, I was watching, and I was like, hey, this lady can dance. So me, when you tell me I can dance well.
Okay.
You see, me, I can dance when I'm seated. But when I tell you I should walk and dance, you're worried me. So we are different. We have our areas of strength. Everybody has that. And it's important for us to appreciate that. And then for professionals, because of their work, they understand that. And so when you go in, you probably would have to let them know, these are my concerns. Is there anything? Then they can offer some advice. Sometimes they'll probably tell you to do A, B, and C, and that will be okay. Or to actually go ahead and have an assessment. In addition to that as well, I think it's important for us to recognize that we do have some professionals. Sometimes I think parents don't know where to go or where to even start.
Exactly.
And so they might, for instance, see, oh, my child is not maybe speaking early. My child is not really looking at me when I talk to him or her. What exactly is going on? At times, maybe the professional might tell you to wait it out. I always say this, don't wait. If there's a particular professional telling you that, get a second opinion, because even with the professionals, we do have specialists, those who specialize in certain areas. And so always get a second opinion, just so you know for sure you've done what you need to do as a parent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to you, mentally, we are humans. I'm a mother. I don't want anybody to know. Like, mentally, how do I psych myself up to also embrace some of these things that will come? Because no matter what, people will talk. So when they talk, how do I manage it? How do I go like, okay, whatever you're saying, you can choose to say, but this is how I'm going on. I'm still going to take my child and do what I have to do as a mother.
So I think that's where the stigma is the challenge. A lot of parents are scared that, when I go out there to seek the support, my child will be labeled. And even when teachers come to parents and say, oh, we've observed A, B, C, then the parent feels as though, okay, my child is being targeted. Now, I think education is important. And Ghana is doing well in terms of policies. We've done well. But the education is not really out there. So we need to put in more effort for people to understand that, okay, we are different. We have different learners. And for that reason, let's not be quick to judge a particular person because they have some difference from, the typical, so to say. So as a parent, let's understand that it's no one's fault. It just happens that, yes, this is the situation. But you want your child to grow up to become, someone better. You have a particular, every parent has a vision for their child.
Yes.
So if you realize that there's some deficits, you want to see what you can do to help your child. So let's come from that point where, okay, I want to help my child. What do I do? Do I have to talk to someone? Let me get the help I need. So once we start from that point, I think we'll do well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes with the children, you have seen the problem. You want to take the child. The child says no. I won't go. You take the child to the doctor or whoever it is, and the child is probably, they just even change. They switch into an attitude that you're asking yourself, is that the same child? Is that Kofi, or is that Amma? Yeah. You don't know what to do. Yeah. So in a case where you take your child to get that help and the child is just resistant, he or she doesn't want to go through or do what you want them to do, what do you do?
Right. So I think that's where we come in as professionals because we know how to interact, build some rapport relationship with a child. And then for a lot of these assessments, they are not like school related. They are not like school. This is correct. This is wrong. No, do it this way. That's not how it's done. It's a very interesting process. And then for the child as well, they're also kept interested. And so they would want to continue. So even though maybe they might come in with a certain thought, and I get that. There have been times where maybe a parent will say, we are going to hospital to find out what is wrong with you. I mean, once you tell a child that, they already have something in their minds that maybe there's something wrong. And so they would build up a wall before they even get in to see whoever the professional is. So when we have such difficulties, what happens if we work with the parents? Your language really matters. Just don't say anything anyhow. It's very important, just so that at least the child can come and give their best, just so we know how to support them. So when they come in, we find our own ways to get them to at least relax and then be themselves, just so we can get the best in terms of that assessment and be able to then put in the recommendations that will support the child, either at home and then also in school. But a lot of education goes in as part of the process. And we target parents The reason is that parents need to know how to communicate, how to change their behaviors, because sometimes by the time the child comes in, they're already a teenager. They've already formed certain impressions. I am not smart enough. I'm not good enough like my brother, because we have been making comparisons. I'm not good like my twin because we're in the same classroom. Sometimes even the older one is still in the same class, has been repeated, and so the younger one has come to join. The teacher also says, you see, everybody has passed you, you are still here. These are some of the words, and over time, the children develop some low self-esteem, you know, so it's like we're just killing them by doing that, and it can also lead to anxiety and then also depression. And so usually it comes with a myriad of other conditions, but when they come in as professionals, we know what to do just so we can get the best in terms of support.
Still on you, so can we say there are also other factors that contribute to the way these children feel in terms of trauma, in terms of maybe something, an experience, something that has happened to them during their childhood? Are these factors also something that are likely to actually affect a child?
Right. So when it comes to learning, a number of things can affect a child. We're looking at socioeconomic status. The child is not exposed to certain things. They haven't even seen what a pumpkin looks like. And you're asking them a question of pumpkin.
What is pumpkin?
What is this? They haven't heard, haven't seen. So depending on the class as well, definitely that can impact, but it doesn't mean the child does not know. But it's because they've not had the experience. You can have even different temperaments as well, and that can also impact how learning would even, you know, the child will benefit from the learning. Then you can also have trauma, which you talked about. So a child who's been sexually abused, for example, or has gone through some kind of assault, or maybe has lost a loved one, can have maybe some difficulties for a time, and that can also affect their learning. But of course, that will say it's also very different from neurodiversity. But these are conditions that can actually affect a child's learning. So there'll suddenly be a drop in performance. You might probably see some behavioral conditions. The child suddenly is crying a lot more than before because they've lost their father. You know, maybe they saw the father being sick for a while, maybe a terminal illness, and that would have traumatized them, that would have impacted them. So that can affect them. But in our setting, oh, what does a child, I'm afraid doing him there? You know, we say all these things thinking that, well, the child hasn't seen, they have heard, and they would also process it differently. And so parents need to be aware of that for the most part.
Okay, now let me come to you. So for instance, if a child emotionally is being affected, for instance, if their needs are not met when it comes to learning, how do we go about it?
So then, I was going to use myself because I have my own story to share. But, so a lot of self-doubt. Let me start by saying that a lot of these children, when they realize that there are challenges, or when teachers start complaining that, oh, you're not doing well, yet there's this, there's that, they know that they have a challenge. They might not have a name to it, they might not have, you know, understanding of it, but they know there's a problem or there's a difficulty somewhere. So then there's a lot of self-doubt, feeling worthless, you know, there's timidity, there's that fear. People even shy away. They don't even want to find themselves, you know, with other people. So then all of these things affect them. And of course, once it affects you, then academic performance, all of that, emotional, will all be affected.
Oh, so in that case, what do we do? Because once it affects you, it's like, it's difficult. Sometimes the mother wants to understand. She can't understand. Father will blame mother. You are not taking care of the child. You don't know what is going on. It's like, it's always, and sometimes the parents even end up fighting because then nobody seems to understand what is going on. So in this case, what do we do as parents so that, you know, some of these things, this emotional thing, we are able to handle it in such a way that these children can always come to us, even tell us what the problem is so we can actually get the right people for them to talk to them.
So parents, like I mentioned before, so education, of course, is key. They say education is power, right?
Right.
Yes, so let's ask questions. Advocacy is going on. People are doing it. But then how grand or how out or open is it? How effective is it, so to say? Because we find that maybe advocacy is limited to certain areas only. It's not really going out there.
Yes.
So then we need to do more in terms of advocacy. So counseling is important because they need support. Apart from the children going through these challenges, it affects the parents as well. So counseling is needed here. There are innovators out there who are bringing out, you know, some of these tools to help children and whatnot. So we need to push. We need to do more as a people. Yeah.
I think I can even add on to that one, if that's okay. So the parent is the first advocate for that child. So you as a parent, because you want what is right and you want to help your child, would mean you have to seek help. And I think you can start by maybe speaking with a psychologist or maybe with a neuropediatrician, just so you know what exactly is happening, you want to understand. Of course, there are also engagements you need to do with the teachers as well. Once you're able to have an assessment done, what it does is that it kind of gives a profile of your child, where their strengths are, the areas where maybe they might be struggling and what you can do there, because it comes with recommendations. And those recommendations actually are taken or probably used in the school setting and then also at home. So in a school setting, we call them accommodations or an individualized education plan, depending on what is needed. Like the additional time, maybe the use of speech-to-text or text-to-speech devices. So there are apps, there are a number of things that can be done. And suddenly that child who was struggling, for example, with dyslexia, who would open the book and see maybe the words coming out. Because that's some of them, they experience that, they see the words flying out. So that child will suddenly then have an app that is actually helping, you know, and so suddenly you see that child, you know, in terms of a translation, in terms of performance, they are doing much better than before. The one who had some difficulties with communication, for example, has autism, you know, suddenly is able to communicate better, or they're able to learn through therapy. They're able to also learn how to manage their emotions or maybe deal with some social interactions. For example, individuals also with ADHD are able to at least increase their time span when it comes to focus or attention. They're able to also learn to better their social skills. All of those things, because therapy would come in. Sometimes there's a need for medication as well, but it depends on the condition. And so with all of these, it tells you that there's definitely help out there, but if you don't start, if you don't do something, you will not get the help that you need. And then it also comes with education, so that parents can know how they can support their child better and be the better advocate for their child as well. Yeah.
Now, this question is to both of you. You could either answer it. So let's take it that for a child in my hometown somewhere, Navrongo, the back of Navrongo, and then somewhere in the upper, like, you know, those villages, who does not have access to these facilities? Maybe they don't have access to a computer, they don't have access to a phone, they don't have access to light. And it's like they are expected to actually match up with the young ones who are probably in Accra. So maybe they're going to write an exam, and we're expecting that those here will match up with them, so they're all supposed to score the same grade. How can we help children like that in those rural areas to be able to, you know, also come out here and also do something for themselves?
Okay, right. So to start off with, I would say that when it comes to the very rural areas, you know, areas where it's quite hard maybe to access a number of technologies, we'll say there are technologies that are even available for those who don't need, for example, to buy maybe a lot more when it comes to credit or internet, because it can be expensive. One thing I'd also say, though, is at this point in time, when it comes to policies, we actually recognize that our system recognizes that we're different learners, and it should actually be implemented. But, of course, we know there are challenges. So we'll say that everybody, and what we are doing, like even today, is an opportunity then to keep on, you know, spreading the word, creating a lot more awareness. Now, we also have a program that is coming up on the 6th of September. It's called a Neurodiversity and EdTech Fair. And the import of that is to bring together all these collaborators from the teachers, actually a learning event, for teachers, for educators, for parents of neurodiverse children, and neurodiverse individuals as well. Whilst we're talking about you, let's not forget that children also grow. So they become bosses. They become TV presenters. They become, you know, whatever, and they're here. So for all the individuals listening, sometimes you don't even know that is why we're doing certain things. But there are people that are here that I can bet you are neurodiverse, but they're all here.
Please give them that explanation. The neurodiverse, you know.
What is it?
What is it, so that they can understand it properly? Or you people know neurodiverse. So
when we say neurodiverse, simply put, we are saying that we are different in terms of how we learn. So let's understand that there are variations in terms of how our brains are wired. You know, we have left-handed people, we have right-hand dominant people. A couple of years ago, we were trying to force people who were left to do right by force. Why?
Because that was what we came to meet.
But really, we've also realized that there's a connection between the left and then the right part of the brain. So if somebody's using their left, it's connected to the right part of their brain. And when you change that, it does impact them in some ways. And so we are trying to say that there are differences. Some people are here will be very good when it comes to math. Then we'll have those who would have some strength when it comes to English and putting together stories and things like that. If we ask the next person, they would also have their strength. So if that is happening, then it should tell you that we are different. Now, if we understand that as a natural variation, then it means we recognize that, okay, we are different. Let's appreciate these differences. Okay? And I think once we do that, it leads to acceptance. And if there's acceptance, it means that that person will also feel, I'm part. I am not different. There is nothing wrong with me. So basically, that is what neurodiversity is. Although would say that people think, well, the very common word we use is, oh, this person is normal, this one isn't. Who is normal? We all are different.
Yes.
So let's accept that. And I think it makes the world a much easier place for those who are struggling, you know, when it comes to differences.
It is my prayer that this information will reach everybody out there. So be it a parent, be it a teacher, can come and actually, you know, learn more, educate themselves so that we can handle some of these things, because it is tough. I want to come to you. So especially, you know, when we're growing up, we were taught that, oh, when you're compared to your brother or your sister, it makes you tough. So sometimes it's like you're at home, no, you come back and then maybe your results come and then you see that Kojo has done well than Ama. Then you see your mother will come and be like, you see, Kojo is doing well. No, what bonsa, not learn. You know, they say it might sound like it's nothing, but you know that once you're done, that child will go to the room, either cry or even find a way to talk to somebody, and that alone can even affect you. Please, I want you to educate some of these people, even if it's not from the mother, sometimes from the auntie, the grandparents. It's like they have a very funny way of saying it, but do not realize how much it affects the child. How do we handle this so that somebody doesn't go to say that because you have a child, you don't want us to straighten your child when they're not doing well? We are in Ghana. How do we go about that?
I think we all as a people need to be mindful. Words are powerful. And sometimes we think that we say things, they cannot
like that.
try, and it doesn't have any effect or repercussions. But words do go a long way. So let's be mindful of our words. To people who realize that they are struggling in one way or the other, talk to people. Because sometimes it's difficult getting the help. I know sometimes that might be the challenge.
Yes.
But let's keep finding or trying to get assistance or help. And then as we keep doing that, let's also remember that we don't necessarily have a problem. We don't have a challenge. Just that there's a difference. So be kind to yourself. So parents, caregivers, whoever you are, if you have someone who is having some challenge in their learning style, etc., please, let's be kind and let's be patient. Let's ask questions and then seek help so we can help them.
You know, for a reason, I sometimes you are watching, let's say, maybe sports, athletes, you know, doing their own thing. And then whilst you're watching, you realize that the first, second, third people, everybody is clapping. So I used to say, okay, they are clapping. And then you realize that the very last people, last but one, last, they will clap for them very loud. And I'm like, so at the point I asked my father that, why is it like that? He said, in this part of the world, they are being encouraged. And that is why they clap for them, so that they don't feel like they lost, but rather, oh, you also did well, because at the end of the day, you also went round just like every other person. But better luck next time. In Ghana, we are worried. Listen, there's nothing you can say to change anybody's mind, and they will tell you, oh, we are worried. Now, you know, some children go through some of these things, these difficulties. They grow up with it. And guess what? They get to a stage, they start having children, and
that's true.
It goes back to them. Like, it's so difficult, because sometimes I then tend to ask myself that, how is the world like? And how are we going to handle, even at that stage in your life? Can you say that as the grown woman who is taking it on their child, you still need help and you have to accept it and still have to go for that help?
The mindset is a powerful thing. Our minds are really powerful. And I think once we understand that, it means our output will be much better. So you can have people who have been abused, for example, who also tend to abuse other people. And we can have those who rather become protectors of others as well. So when we have certain experiences, we need to end them, all right? If not, it becomes like a generational thing. A lot of our parents used to say, oh, you know, when their child doesn't do well, you have failed, you are not smart, you are not this, you are not that. We're saying all the negative things. And then you go and look at their own films, or maybe they didn't do well at all, you know? So we need to learn to stop or bring an end to some of these, because they do impact the children. They impact their emotions, they impact their confidence, and would have some, even at the workplace. So these are the same who have gone through certain experiences, and then they seem to perpetuate that same experience, you know, onto the next generation. trauma can be passed on. And it's important for parents to learn that and then put an end to that. It would require some effort. Sometimes that parent will need to go and see a counselor or maybe a psychologist. It would help because you can't do it all. And at times, it's also important for them to remember that, hey, maybe I am not strong enough like I thought I was, and maybe I need help. And it's okay to ask for help. I think this part of our world, we've been taught to be tough.
Yep.
I mean, Bemansu, you know, you know, yeah. So these are the things we have been taught, and whether it's in the subconscious, we live it without realizing that it's okay to ask for help. Yeah. I can't do it, I'm sorry. You meet somebody, you are driving, oh, please, can you show me Auntie Martha's place? They don't know. They won't say, I don't know. Then they will show you somewhere, they will throw you away. Why are we doing that? That's a people mindset.
Yes.
We need to change our mindset. If you don't know something, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're not smart. And there's one thing I also want to say. You know, anytime parents say their child is not smart, it's because they are looking at only the academic aspects. Yes. But there are so many types of intelligence, including even music. Okay, we have different types, about 8 types of intelligence. And so if we limit it to only the achievements, the academic aspect, please, it is not the same as intelligence.
Yes.
So there are 2 different things. Okay, my child is not great when it comes to math, but they are great when it comes to sports.
Yes.
Elon Musk is what? One of the richest, isn't he? Or maybe even the richest person.
Yes.
And he has autism.
Yep.
Then you can have Einstein and some others who had ADHD and some other, all of these conditions we are talking about. But they have done amazing things. But if you read their story, they were not left to chance. Somebody took, at least somebody made a decision to say, I'm going to be intentional about this and get support for my child. Yeah. And usually it starts with the parents. So that's why it's important for us to be advocates and push for what would help our children. And you realize that that child that you didn't have confidence in, suddenly they also realize where they can shine, and their confidence is all out there.
All out there.
You know, yeah.
So briefly to both of you, how can we as parents, advocates, psychologists, everybody in this field come together to actually help in, you know, trying to curb this so that it's not a challenge? I don't know, but maybe you two probably have an idea on what we can do to help children this way, briefly, so that we can,
Okay, so I think I mentioned at the point that it's a collaborative effort. So, of course, all stakeholders involved, all hands on deck. So advocacy, let's push it. We're doing it, but let's push it some more. The policies are there. We have them. But enforcement is key. So for schools as well, when we employ teachers, let's not just, you know, do the regular one-size-fits-all type of teaching, but let's consider the different types of learnings styles that learners that we have, and then incorporate the different learnings for them as well. And for teachers, again, let's ensure that we've taught them. Let's have teachers who are empathetic, who are understanding of the different learners. So this goes to the teachers and the schools as well.
And then you too.
I was just smiling because you said the teachers. I smiled because the teachers, some of them are disappointed people who didn't make it in other places, and so they are there, so there's no love. And I tend to do that because I work a lot with teachers and then also with the schools as well. And just to add on to this in terms of the question, that is why there is the collaboration. But it starts with the parents. In addition to that, I think that for us, the reason for even doing this is an inaugural event that is happening at the University of Ghana. That's West African Genetic Medicine Center. And it's being organized by the NGO Fafantos Psych organization. The import of this is to bring all of these individuals together. Even for the regular teachers who haven't had any special education knowledge, please come and learn. Come and understand the different learners and then how you can actually be more inclusive. Now, the word inclusive has become a buzzword. A lot of schools say, oh, we are inclusive. They've seen only one person or maybe 2 people. And because of that, oh, they have some mild conditions and they say, oh, we are inclusive. Please, it is not like that. There's more to being inclusive than just saying the word. So let's practice what we are preaching for the most part. And I'm hoping that as many, you know, would attend on the 6th of September. That's a Saturday at West African Genetic Medicine Center. But you need to register. So maybe I'll just mention the number.
Yes, sure.
Just so you know how to, you know, get yourself registered, because we want to cater for the individual. So it's 055-391-3080. That's 0553-913080. So that's the number, just so we can register, get your details, and then we can tell you what you need for the day. Thank you.
This is where we wrap it all up in this conversation. And, you know, I wish we could go on and on. I wanted to get the audience, but you see, time too is not on our side. So my audience, don't worry, I got you, you know. Yes, but this conversation is really important. And I believe that with parents, who actually learn some of these things, appreciate and then know how to handle our children as and when we see anything that is not too good for them. If it's learning, you feel your child is not good in one area, don't just look at the academic aspect. Just like she said, look at other areas. They could be good in sports, they could be good in cooking, they could be good in everything. And this day and age, everything counts in the world. So yes, make sure you get that aspect of the child. Push them so hard so that they can achieve what they are good at, rather than forcing them to be good at what you want them to be. Thank you so much, ladies. This is Ethel. Sanita. And this is Ethel. Oh, my goodness. I'm so grateful. And I'm sure if anything comes up on children, we'll always, please, when we call you, come, okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, much love to you. I really appreciate it. And please have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much.
Right, remember, it still changes right here on Joy Prime. You cannot afford to miss out on the next conversations. Make sure that you are live on our social media pages at Joy Prime on Facebook and on YouTube as well. And make sure you send your messages via our WhatsApp number 055 157 5757. Right, so make sure you're part of the next conversations, and also